Folks, we're going to be going live in 9 minutes. Let me know if you could hear me in the chat so that we'll be ready to go when 7:30 rolls around. Folks, we're going to be going live in 9 minutes. Let me know if you could hear me in the chat. How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana, doctor, 20-15 winners at Iowa in a game that Indiana did not play its best game. In fact, I will go so far as to say that that was maybe the worst game that I've seen of the Kurt Signetti era in terms of coaching staff, in terms of just everything that goes along with what was going on. But Indiana got the win. They made the plays when they needed to. Indiana's defense was good for the most part on all day. Can't say enough about the gritty job that the Hoosiers did today. Just the first time in IU history that the Hoosiers have opened a season 5-0 on back-to-back seasons. Coming off of that win over Illinois, it was absolutely huge that Indiana could come out and get the win. It wasn't pretty. I really felt that Indiana's offense really struggled in a big way. I got a lot of questions about the decisions that were made in terms of run versus pass ratio, because that seemed a little bit crazy to me, but the result is a W. And I say all the time, it isn't how, it's how many. And the Hoosiers pick up the W. They find a way to do it, 20-15. So much to go over in this game. 812-393-2600 is the number. Indiana picking up just its fourth win at Iowa since the 1980 season. So that's 45 years. Indiana's won at Iowa just 4 times. First time since 2007. And you might remember that game. The 2007 game, that included Kellen Lewis scoring a touchdown on a long touchdown run. Josiah Sears fumbled, and the Hoosiers, and Lewis picked up the fumble, ran the distance, got flipped into the end zone, and had the score. And that's how was the highlight of that game. This one, it's obviously going to be Elijah Surratt and the 49-yard touchdown reception. With just 1:28 left in the game, Surratt had a nice game, had a really nice game. 6 catches, 132 yards, and that touchdown. Fernando Mendoza finishes 13 of 23 for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had his first interception. It was a real bad one at that. Got clocked in the face as they went, and Indiana overcame all of that. Made plays when they needed to. Got a couple of key interceptions. Bounced back even though they fell behind. But this was a gritty win for this ball club. 812-393-2600 is the number. The lines are open. I want to hear from you here on this Saturday night. Just a massive win. Just a massive win. Indiana, 337 yards of total offense, 233 through the air, 104 on the ground. That includes, though, the 40-yard loss on the final play of the game, which was a safety, which was exactly the right move for Indiana to do. We'll hear from Kurt Signetti, I don't doubt, here in just a little bit. But it was a outing that, I ain't going to lie to you folks, I thought Indiana was in a lot of trouble through most of that second half. Iowa was sticking around, and I know Iowa likes to make it dirty, but that was something I was really concerned about as the day went on, and I just felt that it looked like they were going to be able to, Iowa was going to come out with the win. Winning on the road's tough. It was ugly. Indiana got it. We got our first caller. Caller, if I give your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, this is Ryan from Bloomington. Ken, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm all right, man. Heart was racing there for a long time. I don't think I could say I was fully calm until really when there were zeros on the clock there. A lot of confusion with the refs and that victory formation stuff. But, like you said, super gritty win. I think this has got to be considered Signetti's best road win, not necessarily for style points, but, hey, at the end of the day, like you were saying, they pulled it out, and a win's a win. But I had a question for you. Like I was saying there with those refs, just thought they didn't have a great control of the game, and There's a lot of confusion there, not only at the end, but there's also that scuffle there.
Right.
And just your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, I'm not quiet about how I don't think the Big Ten officials do a very good job. And let's start with the scuffle at the end of the third quarter. You had a flag on the play, and it was an offside. And then the officials, after huddling for a long time, decide they're only going to call this offside penalty. And then he announces it wrong by saying that it's offside on the defense. It'll be fourth down. But it was third down. If the penalty was accepted, it had to be third down, but he missed the word of declined. So that was a problem in and of itself. The scuffle and all of that, that was... I was happy they didn't throw any flags there because nobody got out of hand with that. It wasn't a late hit. I wasn't worried about that. So at least cooler heads prevailed with that. But when they explained the offside, that didn't make any sense. The officials missed several holding calls, I felt, on Iowa. They missed a targeting call on a play as well. They just, I believe it was Cooper, I think, got popped. And the kid lowered his head, hit him with the crown of the head right in the face. No call with that. And then the end of the game, that to me, they were blowing the whistle without Mendoza taking a knee. You can't anticipate that. And I don't want to hear about, well, he gave himself up or anything like that. Until he hits the ground, he could pull up and throw the ball. He could go ahead and run. So whatever they want to argue on that one, I think is garbage because Indiana was doing exactly what they were supposed to do, and the officials were essentially giving Iowa some extra time. So I'm going to need a huge explanation on that because what I saw there was not. It was the officials whistling with anticipation instead of calling what they saw.
Couldn't agree more, man. I mean, even Signetti said as he was walking off the field on Peacock, he was saying, hey, I need some clarity on what was going on there too. So, but I always appreciate the show, Ken. Have a good night, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the call, Ryan. 812-393-2600 is the number. We have it's the officiating when you're talking about that kind of thing. People are going to miss calls, and that's fine. And this game, if it had been won or lost, wouldn't have been won or lost on officiating. But when you have things like that, where, yes, you know they're going to take a knee, but you have to wait until they actually take the knee. I don't understand that whole sequence. It just didn't make sense to me at all. On the chat, Troika says, for that sideline hit, I know Mendoza was going for that first down, but he's got to be aware he's a target when until he's actually out of bounds. Yeah, that's a tough one because you want to be a football player. You want to pick up that extra yard. But he got popped and he ran into an equipment box. And I know that the walls at Kinnick Stadium are really close really close to the sideline wall. So it's tight over there. JM says on the radio call, Buck said that Mendoza can only take one step back, not multiple steps. Said this was changed a few seasons ago. Well, that's fine. But who's to say that they're going to take a knee there? I believe Buck. Buck knows his stuff. But if you have a situation like that, you could have a guy pick it up and run. It's a regular play. So I think that one is kind of an odd thing. And I was very happy to see that they went ahead and on the final play ran the 40 yards backwards, got to the end zone, took the safety. It was absolutely the correct call in that situation because you didn't want to punt it to Iowa's kick returner, who has been awfully good this year. 812-393-2600 is the number. Want to hear from you. Mendoza, 13 of 23, 233, 2 touchdowns and an interception. I think part of the thing with him today was his decision-making wasn't great. He got the W. We can't discount that at all. but I thought his decision making wasn't always great. Some on some read option plays that he had. Signetti said in the post game that a lot of those short yardage on fourth down were called from the sideline. I am baffled, just baffled, at the fact that Indiana on the day ran the ball 39 times. 39 times in this one. And that's a lot against an Iowa team that is pretty damn good at stopping the run. And that decision right there to run the ball as much as they did, especially because the offensive line wasn't exactly killing it when it came to just blowing open holes. They were all right. But it was not something that I just don't understand how it is that they ran the ball, or why that decision was made to run the ball as much as they did. I'm trying real quick to figure out what exactly their ranking was against the run in the Big Ten. As I'm talking, I'm pulling up stats, and I can't find it. That's okay. 812-393-2600 is the number. Indiana, 39 rushes for basically 144 yards, or 38 carries for 144 yards, lost 40 yards on the team thing. Travis on Twitter says, worst bad beat I've ever had in gambling. Had IU minus 6.5. Very strange by the officials. Yeah, and in fact, Mendoza, according to Zach Osterman from the Indianapolis Star, says, I know I shouldn't be saying this, but I probably cooked people's spreads, and I apologize for that, but my job is to win the game. I understand that completely on that. Lines are wide open. Join us. I hope that here on this Saturday night we can celebrate this victory, as I want to hear from you. Because this was an IU team that showed me a lot today. It showed me a lot. Again, I was very concerned, but this defense did a great job, picked up the slack for the offense. Then the Hoosiers made the plays down the stretch that they needed to win. Obviously got a boost from the Iowa kicker going wide left on his shot, but sometimes you need that, and then you have to capitalize on it. We have another caller. Caller, if I can have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, Ken, this is T-Bone Todd Plummer, Brownstown, Indiana. How you doing?
I'm doing good, T-Bone. What's up?
Hey, buddy. You know, watching that game, it was a rough one to watch, but a win's a win. I tell you, if anything, that Iowa backup quarterback, that poor kid, you know, he had that incomplete on third down to give IU the ball back with, like 2 minutes left, and then Iowa fans had to have zero confidence heading into that last drive with that kid. I mean, he, you know, God love him. He looked bad, though. He almost looked as bad as my neighbor's lawn. But anyway, the ending there is weird. You know, it's unusual for him to take a safety, but it seals the W. I'm not quite sure what the change in rules have been. So the question for you is, how does Mendoza's performance today impact the discussion about him as a leader for the Heisman?
I'll say that the fact that he was able to come back and lead him to the win, I think makes a difference with that. I also say that discussion about who's the leader in the Heisman race on September 27th is kind of not silly, but there's a lot of football left to be played. I mean, we're talking 2/3 of the season left. So, you know, he's still going to be in the discussion with that. And but he did not have a good day. There's no question. And if we get to the end of the season, people are going to be able to point to this game as being something that he really struggled with. But the 13 of 23, he still threw the winning touchdown pass when his team needed it the most. And to me, he did show a ton of toughness today against an Iowa defense that really, you know, was putting the pop on him. They were hitting him hard, and they were blitzing the hell out of him, and he didn't always see that blitz, and that's a little bit of an eyebrow raiser for me, because you guarantee other teams saw that as well.
Well, you know, he took a lot of hits, and he's been prone to taking some hits this season so far too. And Hey, I'm thankful that it was Iowa's backup quarterback that had to go in there and not ours. But I'm going to let myself enjoy watching Oregon versus Penn State tonight, but this offense can't struggle on the road like that if it wants to seriously contend for the CFP. I know, like you said, it's just September, but it's hard to not let yourself think about later on down the road. Gritty defense, though. I'll give the team that gritty defense. I've really enjoyed watching Isaiah Bones-Jones. What a game that kid had tonight. End of the day, Indiana is 5-0. Can't beat that. Heading into the bye, everybody looked like they stayed healthy.
Absolutely. I appreciate the call, T-Bone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ken.
812-393-2600 is the number. He was mentioning, that IU's offense on the road has to get going. It was an odd game. It was an odd game because there were so many runs, even though Iowa was stacking the box, and they weren't dropping out of those blitzes very often either. And so, I mean, with all of that, I think that was an odd thing. I'm looking forward to Monday when we talk a little bit with the coaching staff about that run to pass ratio. It worked out. You can't be one-dimensional, but normally they try to be a little bit more balanced, and it was 39 carries versus 23 passes. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got another caller. Caller, if I could have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, Ken, it's Rob Thompson. How you doing, man? I'm from Greenwood.
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
Hey, man, I called last week, so this is going to be our new tradition. I asked you last week after that drumming, what do you think the ceiling is for this team? Like, that was a tough road win. Wasn't pretty, right? Was not pretty. But what has it changed from last week to this week? I'm just curious.
No, I don't think. If anything, I think this is a great lesson learned by the Hoosiers to go on the road and be able to battle through an ugly game where they've been rolling and improving week after week after week. And in this one, they didn't improve, but they still managed to grit out the win. I think being able to win a game like this is really, really important for this team as they continue to go through the tough Big Ten schedule. Going to Iowa, beating an Iowa team that isn't ranked, but it's still you're winning on the road at Iowa. It's not something that a lot of teams do.
Yeah.
And so that to me is something that it's a great lesson learned for this team.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I think Iowa dictated, right, the line of scrimmage most of the game.
Right.
But to be able to still do that, I mean, and I guess still, and not, I mean, been a fan for years, right? But IU doesn't go in and win these games.
Yep.
And it's just amazing what is happening with IU. And every week, belief becomes more and more, in my opinion, right? It sounds like what do you think they're going to do against Oregon? Do you think they're going to be able to go in and do this?
I don't know. I'm right where you are. I think that
that's a bad place to be, Ken. You never want to be in the same place I'm at.
You keep waiting for it to fall apart.
And
not you. I mean, IU fans.
Me. Yeah, me. Yeah. No, me. Yes, yeah. No, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's just built into our bodies, right? I mean, it's IU football.
We haven't been doing this long enough and being successful long enough to where it's surprising that, oh my God, Iowa was the one that missed the field goal and opened the door for Indiana. Yeah, it's surprising. So when you're talking about going to Oregon, I like the fact that they have 2 weeks to prepare. I think that's an important part. Everybody is healthy for the most part. Obviously, Lee Beebe Jr. Is out for the season, but I think that beating Oregon is going to be a tough task. And Oregon also learned a lot of lessons from watching Iowa. But Oregon's defense and Iowa's defense, they play a different style. So I don't expect them to win as we sit here 2 weeks from the game. But, at this point, you need to start winning some of those level games. And that's where Indiana's come up short just against Ohio State and Notre Dame last year. You got to believe in Sig a little bit on this thing because it's just 16-2 is 16-2.
No, I wish I could cuss because I would, but I won't. Hey, and I will tell you this.
We're on YouTube. Nobody's getting fined tonight, baby.
Sig's bad as shit, isn't he? You have to believe in what Sig is doing, don't you? I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
I will tell you this. You made a great.
Google me.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hey, you made a great point, right? We don't know. Like, this has never happened. You know what else has never happened? I've never called into a show 2 weeks in a row, Ken. Today I did. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Hey, this is going to be a tradition. I'm calling next or 2 weeks from now to see what the ceiling is. All right.
All
This
right,
is
that
Rob
sounds
from
great.
Greenwood.
All right, Rob, I
All
appreciate
right, my
the call.
man.
Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. We'll see you. Have
Take
fun.
care. 812-393-2600 is the number. I love that. I love a good new tradition. As a history guy, I love traditions just in general. And it's a ton of fun. I bet you a lot of you are like me and a lot of the listeners to where this is still Wonderland as far as we're concerned, because that's just how it is. We got another caller. Caller, if you have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hi, I'm Larry from Peru, Indiana. I was unable to watch the game. I listened to it as best I could on the radio, and Don and Buck did not say much at all about screen passes, but they did talk about all of the blitzing. Did the Hoosiers run many screen pass plays?
If they did, it was a handful. I'm just trying to think back now, and I'm about a screen pass. I'm sure that I saw one. I know Iowa did a number of times, but yeah, that's what I thought too. Is go ahead and run a little screen pass and break that up, which is something Illinois was trying to blitz a lot last week, and it ended up being a touchdown play. So yeah, I mean that is part of it. And again, we didn't see a ton of that, and to me, that's what you can do to kind of let the pressure off when they're going all out blitz on you.
Well, I just wanted to see what someone who saw the game thought, because I kept thinking to myself, why aren't they running screen passes? Yeah. and I know those coaches have forgotten more about football than I will ever know, but I couldn't help but think that. So
well, but
coaches they won.
Coaches do that a lot, because you think about the 4th and 2 play. I think it was Iowa had 9 guys in the box, and Sig said that after the game that it was a run call that was a called play from the sidelines. It wasn't an RPO, and if it wasn't an RPO, then that makes me feel a little bit better. But still, Iowa was packing the box, and Indiana was busting into him. It's like watching Jerry DiNardo go into the line 4 times against Penn State back in 2002, which is a deep cut there for a lot of fans. But it was also a little frustrating for me to watch.
What happened on the touchdown play there at the end with Surratt? I did not get a good call on that on the radio.
Yeah, so
because my internet was blanking out.
Yeah, so Surratt was 1-on-1 on if you're watching on the far side of the field. They brought the blitz. It was 1-on-1. He ran a slant, made the catch. The defender missed the tackle. Surratt went the distance. It was pretty simple. He didn't have to beat a lot of people because they had brought a lot of pressure on that one.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot, and go Hoosiers.
I appreciate the call, Larry. Take care.
Bye now.
812-393-2600 is the number. Jim on the chat says, we didn't deserve to win, but I'm not giving it back. And I'll tell you what, as I was watching, I thought, Indiana is going to escape with this one. I don't know if they deserve to win it, but by that same token, it's not like Iowa bathed themselves in glory in this one. So what you had was 2 teams that didn't seem to want to take it, and Indiana got it. And again, that's the important part. They got the W, and it's also a thing to where Indiana made some plays. I mean, on defense, they eventually did. They got some turnovers, got some tip balls that turned into interceptions, and it made a difference. It made a difference. Other people, Aaron says wins at Kinnick are hard to come by. I'm pumped up about that. Kyle says, great, gritty win. Any update on Pons? I haven't heard anything updated on Pons. I came on the air. I did not see if Sig addressed it in the post game. That I don't know. So I'm sorry I don't have an update on that. And, in terms of Aaron again says, I've seen many highly rated teams in the Big Ten go into Kinnick and struggle. And that's the key to me. That's the key is This was an IU team that just continues to find a way to win. 5-0 for back-to-back seasons, first time in program history. Sig is now 16-2 as a head coach at Indiana, and that's extraordinary in and of itself. You got a bye week coming up, and look, Iowa does not have a good offensive football team in any way, shape, or form. That is, one of the constants for college football. But the Hoosiers found a way to win. Despite, the Iowa builds everything on running and defense and wearing teams down. And Indiana made the plays late when they needed to. Again, missing the field goal gave Indiana a huge boost, lowered the pressure on that final drive, but you still had to perform. And then they get the touchdown to Surratt. You kick the ball off. Now you got to keep Iowa out of the end zone. And Indiana made the plays that they needed to walk away with the win. The last weird kneel-down sequence notwithstanding. To me, it was really, this is an important game to me, a really important game because it teaches this team a lot about what it is that they can do, and you could win games in different ways. Indiana put up 63 last week, 73 the week before. Today they score 20 points. They don't score in the third quarter, and yet they walk out with the 20-15 victory on the road in the Big Ten against an Iowa team that's tough to beat every day. I think that's incredibly important. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are open. So please pick up that phone, give me a call, throw me something in the chat. Andy says this game reminds me of Michigan last year. Both games, it took a little extra effort to get it done. Good teams find a way to win, and the ball bounced our way tonight. Didn't feel like it for a long time. Didn't feel like it at all, but they ended up getting the victory. And I give, Indiana runs for 104 yards, really 144 if you take off that safety. Roman Hemby, 15 carries for 86 yards. He averages 5.7 yards a carry. That is really important because I've wanted to see more from Hemby than what we've seen, and we saw some really tough running tonight. That kid deserves a ton of credit because he slipped a lot of tackles. He did a great job. Kalon Black, 11 carries for 38 yards. It's 3.5 yards a pop. It's solid. He didn't always have a lot of room to run. I felt Iowa kind of controlled that line of scrimmage from a defensive standpoint. Mendoza, 8 carries for 26 yards. Meanwhile, Iowa's bread and butter is kind of running the ball. 31 carries for 92 yards today. Thought Indiana did a good job for the most part. There were a couple of times that they got gashed, but it wasn't a ton. It wasn't a ton. And let's see, I'm looking at the chunk plays here. Let's see. Iowa had 4 plays, chunk plays. Those are passes of 15-plus yards or run plays of 10-plus yards. They had 4 chunk plays offensively in the passing game, 3 in the rushing game, 22 yards, 10 yards, and 14 yards on that. So that's pretty solid. Hey, let's talk about Indiana and their kind of a soft zone defense. Iowa wasn't trying to stretch the field in any way, shape, or form. What they were doing was just sending guys out into holes in the zone, turning around, making the catch, getting hit, and brought down. And yet Indiana stayed in that very soft zone. Even on some fourth down calls, they were still in that soft zone, and Iowa just did what Iowa does. And so I thought that was a really, really interesting choice by Brian Haynes to stick with that zone, even on fourth down. That was a little bit odd to me. JM's checking with, asking about Andy Mack, also a 20-15 final against Michigan last year. I could check that for you, JM. I can pull that up real quick. I'm pretty good with this internet. Michigan. Yes, sir. 20-15 last year in Bloomington. So that was also a important win. Get that win over Michigan. Beating Iowa who is, there are years that Iowa's great, years Iowa isn't. And so this isn't a great Iowa team, but it's an important win. My water bottle, this looks brown. This looks like I'm just chugging a pint of bourbon, and it's not there yet, but some water with some Mio in it. So my throat to dry out. I want callers. I want to talk to you people. People don't want to hear me talk. Lines are open. 812-393-2600 is the number. Going to try to pull up the video of Sig in his post-game press conference, which this audio is always a little bit odd, but we'll see what we can do here. So without any further ado, here is Kurt Signetti during his post-game press conference at Iowa.
Iowa, a lot of credit. They're a good football team. They laid it on the line. I give our players and our coaches a ton of credit for, we made the play when we needed to. It was a back and forth game. It was a gut check game. A lot of good, bad, and ugly. More bad and ugly. Except, defense kept them out of the end zone. Got a couple turnovers when we needed to. Partially deflected a punt. Field goal kicker was awesome under pressure. And when we needed to make the play, we did. We really struggled on third and short. They came after us with the blitz. And but when we needed to make the play, we did on third down against the house blitz again. The Surratt broke a tackle. And it's a great road win. So I'm very proud of the team and players.
Acton is.
I guess, Kurt, you talked about some of those third and short, fourth and short stops on the run. Was the option for a pass there for those? Was it a different call with the Surratt touchdown, or was that maybe Fernando shifting to something else when he saw that zero blitz?
Yes, no, Fernando didn't do any audible today, and the noise, that wasn't the plan. There were not RPOs on those plays. They came after us, and we couldn't gain a yard. And on the last play, the Surratt, they had house splits to play before, meaning they're bringing one more new block. And so we went to our 7-man protection. We called that. We called that 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 or 6 today. And against Indiana State as well, who house blitzed us. Surratt ran the slant. He went inside, broke a tackle, ball was where it needed to be, and he scored. And somebody asked me after the game, I think with the TV reporter, what we remember from this game. I'll remember Surratt running toward the end zone. That's what I'll remember. I give our players a lot of credit. It was a great team.
Isn't the net?
I mean, you mentioned, obviously maybe not everything went your way in the final 2 minutes, but it was a gut check, you said, and you got there for a team that hasn't played a lot of those games. You lopsided wins,
Right.
a couple losses, and haven't been in kind of these moments. How is it important to have that
Yeah.
and come through, even
Of
if the
course.
execution wasn't?
I've been in a lot of those games. Like at Elon, we won 8 in a row, and like almost all 8 went down the last play game. It was like the storybook, the Stars rule. We haven't had many of those here, and we didn't have many of those in JMU either. I thought our coaches did a great job, and our players. When it was game on the line, I did what I could do to keep everybody kind of loose, asking everybody if they're having fun. That's what's working for me, to be honest with you. When we needed the play to be made, Mendoza made the throw, and Surratt made the catch, and the defense stopped it.
Acton, Rabbi?
Coach, the final play with Fernando running out into the end zone, was that what you designed, or were you wanting him to go down before that? Because it looked like he kind of slowed down and sped up and slowed down.
Well, that was Groundhog Day. When we beat App State, our first Sun Belt game at JMU, after they had beaten A&M. We have something called victory delay, and I got to get a clarification from the Big Ten. Okay, Iowa had all 3 timeouts left. I think there were 16 or 17 seconds left in the game. So in theory, like if you took a knee, you can only run 8 seconds off the clock because they got 3 timeouts left. So we have something called victory delay, where he goes back and he delays, delay before he gets hit, and then takes a knee. You're trying to run 4 or 5 seconds off the clock. Well, Iowa didn't even rush on the first one. And he went back and, you know, and then the ref blew the whistle. And one guy on the sideline gave me one interpretation, and the referee gave me a completely different one. So the last play of the game, we had to take the snap from the shotgun and run into the end zone. He's supposed to go through the end zone, but he got caught. And our quarterback coach, Chandler Whitmer, who does a great job, and I can understand why, said, no, he doesn't need to go all the way to the end zone because there was only 3 seconds left on the clock. I wasn't taking any chances. It was a hard-fought game. I give both teams a lot of credit.
Rabbi and Seth.
Take us through Surratt's play, if you will, just sort of.
Yeah.
You know.
We've been getting some house splits this season. Started with ODU, Kennesaw a little bit, Indiana State quite a bit early in the game, and quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators, they hate like 7-man slide protection, 3-man routes, no running backs on checkdowns. It just doesn't look real pretty on the blackboard. You know what I'm saying? But when you get those kind of blitzes, that's what you got to be in. And it frees guys up to work one-on-one and gives you time to throw the football. So we actually had called that play earlier in the game on 3rd down, and Surratt didn't win on a slant against press. And we had a quick out to the field and a go. And then the X had a quick slant. This one, because it was 3rd and 7 and not 3rd and 2, and it was house instead of blitz 1, they were off. And Surratt won inside and spun, and big play, huge play.
Thanks.
Seth right in front of Scott.
You talked a lot in the beginning of the season about how hard you coached your team, trying to teach them how to win, even when you guys were up by a lot. How much did you see that type of mentality pay off in a game like this?
Yeah, it never goes according to script. There's a lot of variables involved, and there's going to be games like this. I think when I was hired, I said, mindset's really important. Everybody's ready to play the first game or 2 or 3. After that, it's who's ready to play. And what was the question?
How much did you see that mentality, that you were trying to instill about, how teaching your team how to win?
At this point, then you're kind of like as, when Mendoza got hit on the sideline, they didn't call roughing the quarterback. That really kind of pulled our guys together right there. And we got a lot of new guys, but we got a lot of good, a lot of the right stuff on this team. And, we were tested really hard, and we found a way to pull through it.
Scott and Jim.
Is it important to come on the road and play a team like this and get in this kind of a struggle, knowing what you will face in the next week and then throughout the rest of the season?
Well, I think, all wins are great. We got a week off. Coaches have a day off tomorrow. We're 5-0. You would much rather win decisively than put this on tape, because let me tell you, we left a lot of plays out there in the past game. And there's some bad stuff on that tape. But the defense and teams. But I give Iowa a lot of credit. But to go in a hostile environment, this is a hard place to play. They got a great home record. They were juiced up for this game. And come out with a win when maybe you didn't play your best, and a lot of it's because of them. It's huge, yeah.
Jim and Zach B.
Kurt, with the success they were having in the first half, for preventing the pass game from getting going, looking back quickly, is there some things that you maybe could have done play calling wise to shorten?
Well, the first pass we threw, the right guard got beat, got smoked. 4-man rush, sacked, 3rd and 2.5. And that kind of spooked everybody a little bit, I think. And, guys got to trust his technique and not guess what the D-tech, what the 3 technique's going to do. And, you know, we came in at halftime and looked at the stats, we'd only thrown 8 passes. Holy cow. And they'd thrown 17. That last drive at the end of the half, 17 seconds or 27, and we found a way to get 3 points out of that was huge. Huge. And then after that, you know, I thought things started well the first drive of the third quarter. I thought, okay, here we go. But then, nope. And, you know, it became what it was.
Zach, be on your left, last one.
When Fernando threw that interception late in that fourth quarter, what did you see from him on the sideline afterwards? How did he react to that?
I didn't see him on the sideline. Afterwards, you know, it was another house blitz, and he did a good job of escaping. I thought he was going to run it, you know, throw it, and overthrew Cooper a little bit. Got me a nice play, 6, good player. I'm just glad he didn't score. You know, he'd come off on the sideline, and you know, maybe there was a play left on the field, and he knew it was left on the field. You know, there were a couple times in the third quarter where I noticed in the pocket he had lowered his eyes, you know, which he hadn't done in a long time. But you know, I was putting some heat on the quarterback, and then he was pulling the ball in the run game too. You know, putting a lot on the guy. But at the end of the day, he passed the test because he made the key play.
All right, thanks for playing.
Still muted there. Sorry, guys. 812-393-2600 is the number. I was just saying that Sig's attitude with a win, yes, you're happy that you got the win, but he also is not sugarcoating the bad. Like when he mentioned that there's a lot of bad on that film, a lot of plays in the passing game that were missed, talking about Mendoza having his eyes down in the pocket. And those are all learning experiences. All learning experiences along the way that make a huge difference with that. So again, all of these things, every one of these wins, save for last week or you know, or maybe even Indiana State, there wasn't a lot to maybe learn off of. This one you're going to learn off, and it's a lot easier to teach off of a win than it is off of a loss. 812-393-2600 is the number. JM says, Ken, how many reporters are in Sig's press conference compared to Tom Allen's final season or two? And let's see, loss. Yeah, okay. So the people who cover IU football, it's the same crew. I have, let's say there is, for me personally, we are at Don Fisher, obviously has been around for 50 plus years. Pete DePremio has been along for a long time. This is my 21st season doing this, and I am third in the list of tenure for people covering this program, and on a daily basis. The people who do it every day. Zach Osterman, Seth Tao, Jim Coyle, whoever is at the Herald Times. There's been a number of people at the Herald Times. The IDS kids. Sammy Jacobs has been there for a while now. It doesn't change too much. The interest doesn't change. So there aren't more people. Now, that said, going out on the road, you might get a few more people to come out. I obviously wasn't there. I'm here in my home studio, which I kicked on a light because otherwise it looked like I was a serial killer sitting in the basement. Just the fact that they were able to, you will draw more attention when you're 5-0 or 4-0 and ranked number 11 in the country when you go on the road. Then it makes more sense to send people out there. But the people who cover IU, there's not a real difference in who's out there and who's not. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are open. We want to hear from you. I want to hear from you in particular. It is looking forward at this. You're 5-0 now, okay? Once upon a time, we spent a lot of time talking about where would Indiana find 6 wins. Well, for the second straight year, you start with 5 straight wins. Coming up here, you have the bye week. And then at Oregon. Depending on the time of that Oregon game, we may not have a call-in after that Oregon game because I have a family commitment that's very important. Got somebody who's getting married and want to be a part of that. So we'll see depending on the time of that game. But you go to Oregon, you come back, you have Michigan State at home, you have UCLA at home, and then you have back-to-back road games as we get into November. But Indiana has set itself up very nicely to have another special year. And learning to win in a game, an ugly, gritty game like this, is really important. That bad film that Sig was talking about, that's going to be a positive for Fernando Mendoza. He's had great days. He's had now a not-so-great day. And there's going to be a lot to learn from it. And Mendoza has improved as each week has gone on. Today, his accuracy wasn't where you wanted it to be. Also, I thought it was interesting that Sig said that, they go in halftime and they look and they'd only thrown the ball 8 times. And you're like, wow. And the 3rd and 2 play that Mendoza was sacked and the right guard just got toasted, just absolutely toasted. Yeah, that'll make you raise an eyebrow, but you also have to stick with what it is that you're going to do. And that's why I said I'm just really incredibly baffled by how it is that a good defensive team like Iowa, why you're busy trying to do what they were, to just run the ball. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make any sense at all. But Indiana made it work for them. And so that's really important. Some of the highlights defensively are Isaiah Jones, eight tackles, including 4 solo. Jones and Wyatt combined for Indiana's sack on the day. The Hoosiers 6 tackles for loss on the day. And this against an Iowa team that I felt their offensive line did a pretty damn good job today with that. Aiden Fisher was active, had a couple of quarterback hurries, which we were talking in the press box last week about the difference between a quarterback hurry and pressures and exactly, and it seems pretty subjective. 7 tackles for Moore, 5 solo stops. For Fisher, 7 tackles, 5 solo stops. Moore, 7 tackles, 4 solo stops. You had the big interception by Farrell. Moore also got an interception as well. He is not credited with it. The stat crew gave it to E.J. Williams, which obviously he didn't intercept anything. He is a wide receiver, but they wear the same number. So there was an issue with that. That'll get cleaned up. But Moore had a very important interception. And it's really great that he was able to, at the very least, got cleared for the rest of the season. That's behind him now. He doesn't have to worry about that. That's a pressure off of him. Justin asks, how are you feeling against Oregon? We talked about this a little bit earlier on the show with a caller, but you can't count Indiana out of any of these things now. I mean, we're at that point, guys. 16-2 is 16-2. So do I expect them to go on the road and knock off Oregon? It'll be a tough thing to do. But do you think Sig can't pull something together? It's going to be a tough one. You're going to have to play a really good game with that. But they're going to have every opportunity. They're going to need to play like they did against Illinois and not like they did against Iowa to get away with that. But look, I don't put anything past this. Matt asks, how does the Iowa O-line and D-line stack up compared to Oregon and Penn State's? I'm going to be real with you, Matt. I haven't looked at Oregon's D-line and Penn State's D-line this year. That time will now come with Oregon. But with Penn State, I haven't even seen Penn State play this year. So that's just being honest with you on that. Been focused on Indiana's opponents. All that. Kurt says, we definitely got tested across all phases tonight. Came up strong. 2 weeks of work to do. Yeah, and that's exactly it. You're going into a bye. You got plenty to work on. It's easier to work on things coming off a win. And the Hoosiers did just that. So I think that is a huge positive because you could build off of it. 2 weeks to prepare for Oregon. Oregon is a team that, let's see here what I could find out about Oregon and at least their rushing stats. The Hoosiers, by the way, still lead the Big Ten in rushing yards. Oregon is third with 1,021 yards. They have, obviously, this Penn State game to go. But, Oregon's going to be tough. There's a reason that they're ranked as highly as they are. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are open. I'll even give you a last call. I want to hear from you guys. It's Saturday night. It's a road game. You guys are watching probably Oregon and Penn State. Now, I respect that. But want to hear from you if you have anything. Otherwise, we'll wrap this up pretty soon. But Indiana, God, what an important game for the Hoosiers. Just a hugely important game because they were able to come out and win the thing, win ugly, and did it by playing a completely different game than they have played to this point. It was a smash mouth game. It was a matter of, putting people on the ground, getting hits. I don't want to say Indiana benefited. That's the wrong situation. I certainly hope the Iowa quarterback, Gronowski, not Gronkowski. That's a whole different thing. Mark Gronowski went out with the knee injury. Hopefully he's going to be okay. You're being cautious in that situation. That kid went 19 of 25 for 144 yards. The 19 completions for 144 yards. And again, I was a journalism major at IU, not a math major. But let's see. 144 divided by 19 is 7.5 yards per completion. So those were all just very short passes. Indiana was right there to put guys on the ground when they did that. In case you're wondering, by comparison, Mendoza per completion was 17.9 yards. So Iowa was peppering them with the short passes. At least Indiana was there and making hits and getting guys to the ground after they made those receptions. That is a huge difference between this Indiana team now and the Indiana team that we've seen in the past. Because they do a really good job of, if somebody makes a catch, they're brought down pretty quickly. You had a couple missed tackles today, but I thought Indiana's defensive backfield did a nice job of getting guys to the ground after they made catches. Wasn't wild about the scheme at all times, but they did a very nice job with that. We need to talk a little bit, too, about Elijah Surratt. And we've talked about his long touchdown reception. On the day, 6 carries, 132 yards, touchdown, 92 yards after the catch. Surratt's ability to shake loose after he makes a catch changes this offense. It really does. And what it does is it forces defenses to swarm toward him, especially if you're looking his way. Now, why is that important? Because if you, on your scouting report, you know that Surratt can get those yards after catch, So if Mendoza's looking his way as a defender, naturally, you're going to start to cheat a little bit that way. And so at times you could use Surratt as a decoy a little bit to where you're looking this way, and then all of a sudden you could cut back this way and might open things up for Cooper, for Williams, for Hemby, whoever's in the backfield. So that in and of itself, sometimes you have a receiver who's good enough with that, and the kid's going to play Sundays in the near future. I think Mendoza has a great future on Sundays as well. And his presence, Surratt's presence on the field, changes what the Hoosiers are able to do. Justin on the chat says, I know Iowa's O-line was rated number 1 in the country. They did a good job of controlling that line of scrimmage. The Hoosiers didn't get a lot of pressure in the backfield. But in the run game, Iowa averaged 3 yards a carry. So the defense was solid. Indiana's linebackers, I felt, had a really nice game. And that is something you could continue to build on. Iowa did not reach 100 yards on the ground. Time of possession, especially in the first half, was a little bit shocking because Iowa really held the ball. The Hoosiers defense did a poor job of getting off the field, but for the game, Iowa just 6 of 16 on third down, and Indiana 6 of 15 on third down, 0 of 3 on fourth down for the Hoosiers, which isn't great. But Indiana 5-0 for the second straight season, first time in IU history that is something that has been accomplished. A huge win for Indiana gives them 1 win away from being bowl eligible. And to have this victory, Mendoza still hasn't taken a knee. I'll just say that as my voice cracks. Mendoza still hasn't taken a knee. That pisses me off, and I know that, there's explanations for the rules. Not wild about that. On Twitter, Theo says, they hot to get rid of the hand signals because the defense was timing it up every single play. We have to come up with like guys go on 2 or 3 instead of hand signals. The thing with that is it's a silent count. And so, yeah, you could time it up a little bit. That's the disadvantage of being on the road. But that's just part of the equation. Every team has to deal with it. Illinois had to deal with it last week. So when you're in a loud environment, it's difficult to have that delay and still have everybody fire off the ball at the same time, which is why you don't see quite as much of false starts and things like that in a loud situation when you're going silent like that. But 20-15 is your final. The Hoosiers 5-0, top of the Big Ten. Let's see who's some of those top 25 scores for today. Some of these finals. What do we got? LSU lost, so they won't drop far enough to let Indiana move up. But let's see if there are any other upsets there in the top 25. Florida State lost, so there's a chance for Indiana to move up into the top 10. Winning on the road at Iowa is impressive. And being able to do that, I think, is something that the Hoosiers can build off of. They got a tough road ahead of them. There's no question. I mean, you're talking about Oregon and then Michigan State and UCLA, 2 out of the next 3 at home. That's a positive. You have the break here, but the toughest tests left for the Hoosiers on their schedule, Oregon in 2 weeks, and then at Penn State, November 8th. Both of those games are situations where you're going to have to play about as well as you can to pull off wins on the road. We'll see if the Hoosiers are able to do that. They did not play their best game at Iowa. They still walked away with the win and learned a lot and have a lot of opportunities ahead of them. I appreciate all the callers, and I thank everybody on the chat, but We're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this victory. So that's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time, but for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.